I was going to not record today because I know what I want my next recording to be. I have been tracking in my process, and I'm going to be sharing that probably tomorrow. But I have some things circulating in my awareness and mind that I want to share. So this will probably be a little shorty episode. So one is around contraction. So just to revisit step one in the 5 steps to ecstatic manifestation or in Seat of the Sorceress, whichever one you're going by, is clearing your space. Now, you can't clear your space until you know it's in your space. So that's why the tracking comes in. Spoke about that more in the last episode. Go back and listen. It's very thorough. You get to track. It's awesome. Again, I'm going to share my tracking tomorrow. And then the other part, signaling safety. So when you track, and this is what are your thoughts? What are your emotions? What are your sensations? What are your behaviors? What cause and effect do you keep experiencing over and over and over again? When you get clear on that, you're going to start to notice these places of contraction, and they're going to be different for different people. Sometimes it's in the taking action. Sometimes it's in the like, I don't even know what options I have. I don't even know what my desires are. Now that I've acted on a desire, the person on the other end of it fell off and didn't follow through. I didn't follow through. Every time I do this one behavior, I then think this thing to myself. So all of these things, and I've been tracking, I think it's been for 5 days. And I am focused on one area of my life. Again, go listen to the last episode if you haven't already. And I will talk about it more tomorrow. So I'm tracking in that area of my life, and that's good for me. Like I like that focus. And what you start to notice is patterns that just are actually kind of tiresome. And maybe they've been happening for years, decades, especially if you're starting from that stagnant survivor phase that I was talking about. Like these are probably old patterns. And when you notice those places of contraction, most particularly, those are the places you want to signal safety. Now, I mentioned maybe the first time I talked about this lymph brush tool that I use for havening. And again, you don't need this brush. You can just use your hands and you just stroke slowly down your face. Go find it in my playlist on YouTube, Signal Somatic Safety playlist. When you find these places of contraction and you start to notice, like, okay, every day at this time I do this, or every time I do this, I say this to myself, or every time I ask for help from this person, like I at one point in my life noticed every time I asked men, it was men specific at this period of my life, every time I asked men for precisely what I wanted, they would not give it to me. So sometimes it is like a dynamic between you and somebody else. Um, so the first step to starting to shift this dynamic is signaling safety around the contraction. So this is not you saying that behavior is okay on their part. It's not you saying my behavior is okay. But when you are contracted around something, that is when you are in that sympathetic nervous system response to it. You're in all or nothing thinking. You can't see or feel clearly, and options and possibilities and potential shut down. And when you are shut down, guess what? You're not fucking manifesting anything. You're not fucking manifesting anything, right? Like you can go do some shit, but it's going to feel terrible. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more tomorrow too. But discovering these patterns in yourself, and it really, like I said, I've been doing this for 5 days, and I'm not like journaling for hours every day. I'm doing a little, but it's got me very aware. I'm very conscious now, like, okay, I see this thing playing out. So my next step is to start signaling safety around those contractions. I talked about this with the money thing. I haven't done this in practice yet. Again, I have tomorrow off. I've been working like 7 out of the last 8 days, so I'm pretty tired from working. But um, tomorrow I'm going to sit with one of my most repeated patterns. For me, it's a thought, and I'm going to consciously like bring myself back into that that mind frame or that thought, and I'm going to signal safety. I did this with money, remember? And then 48 hours later, I received $19,000, which I actually yesterday also just received an additional $1,000 back from my loan for like the gap coverage I didn't use and about $100 overpayment. So sweet. Love that. So do I want to create that in this other area of my life? Fuck yes, I do. Okay. So clearing the space, got to be aware of what's in the space, and then you start to clear it by signaling to your nervous system, signaling to your body that you don't need to be in contraction. And you don't want to be in contraction because then possibilities shut down. Receiving doesn't happen in a state of fucking tension, right? No, it doesn't. So, signaling safety. Again, I just love having this tool. I like the sensation of it. Uh, you can do it with your hands. Go look at my playlist for different ways to signal safety. The other thing I wanted to talk about is I've said this thing, I think I said it maybe just in the last video, but it's something I becoming more and more aware of. It came up for me. I received a session from a friend of mine. She's been doing tabletop constellation work. If you don't know what that is, drop a comment. I'll tell you and send you her information. I love it. It's just another way of like processing your experience or your emotions or whatever. And it's something I use in my work too. And when I have groups, it's fun to do with people. So, I realized, and to be honest, normally if I weren't in this state, I'd be like, this phrase is like annoying to me. So I'm just going to say that. But it's accurate, and I'm going to tell you why I love it right now. So, what I've been recognizing is by going through my own journal, my Embodied Law of Attraction journal, fourth edition, Shannon White. It's on Amazon. You can buy it. There's a link in the description, and you can just join me on Telegram. Do it there, for free. What's been happening is I have been reparenting myself. Again, I know I said this, but I want to say it again and like emphasize it and speak more about it and what kind of has been the result of that. So I did get a lot from my parents. And one thing that I didn't get as much as I would have liked or needed is like emotional care, emotional support. Um, Deep empathy at all levels. Like my mom was very empathic. I am also very empathic, but it was challenging. Like my parents were challenged being empathetic. They have a narrow range for that, really. And through my training, when I went to Hogwarts, and probably I'm naturally like this anyway, but I definitely learned like a much broader range of being able to hold people's different experiences, including ones I don't agree with, which, like you got to be able to do all of that. So I've been doing my journal. So I've been doing this emotional work with myself. I have done emotional work in my life with other people, It's been very powerful, incredible, amazing, awesome. I have written the journal like back in the few years ago because I know this stuff works, but I haven't totally just like done my own journal in this way. When I revise it, maybe I've said this before, but when I revise it, I do like give examples. And so I am doing a little bit of my own work, but it's not like continuous or consistent through like one specific thing that I'm trying to work on. So I've been doing that, and it has been like reparenting myself. And the result of that has been I feel like I fucking got me. I feel like I have my back. And I feel softer. I feel calmer. My baseline here, since I've moved to Fort Collins, anyway, is contentment. It really is. I do notice when that gets interfered with, and I try to create space from anything that feels like it gets in the way of that. I stopped complaining. That's still on. But because I started this other kind of process, it hasn't been very top of mind to discuss the not complaining, but it's been good. And I'm also catching myself in moments where I'm like, okay, this is like a place where I would normally go off and say this or go off and tell this other person about this thing instead of just sitting with like what I'm feeling and the discomfort that I'm in and how I'm not upholding my own boundary or how my standard has dropped or, da 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 da. Da. So that's still on. I'm still doing that. But I have gotten to like women talk, I mean, these are women that I've listened to for years. Women talk about wanting a masculine man so that they can soften and be feminine. Heard, girl, heard, like totally. I'm now doing that for myself. That was incidental. I wasn't trying to do that. I wasn't like, let me take care of me so that I can be soft and da 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 da. But it has happened. And I feel so well cared for by myself. Like, so I started doing this journaling just a little under 2 months ago. So just in 2 months. I mean, the big manifestations have been getting my card paid off. Um, I'm doing red light therapy and I'm feeling like way better in my body and things like that. So, there have been like some larger manifestations. I am getting more follows on YouTube and things like that. So like those things are happening. Um, and then the like inner part is like I feel safe, which I'm gonna tell you, and maybe you've had this experience, like just having external things be okay doesn't always mean you feel safe. It's an internal experience. But I feel safe. I feel like I've got myself. I feel like even if something happened, like I can take care of me. And I get to be in my feminine. Like I just naturally am currently in my feminine because I've been holding a container for myself where I get to be and have and do who I am, what I feel, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, oh, to like be able to relax down into my own seat and experience and not be fucking worrying about shit and not be on edge. And even if something isn't precisely how I want it, like just kind of being able to acknowledge it and be like, okay, like still be in a creative process with it rather than like shut down or fucked up about it or frozen or any of that. Getting to explore possibilities, being in receiving. Like when I received the money for my car, I did say, like, I felt some chaos for like a couple days. I had a little bit of a dip for a couple days after that, but I came out, I didn't take any of that too seriously. And now I'm like living in the new life where I have like $500 more a month. When I got the $1,000 in my mailbox yesterday, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm not like, what do I do? What do I spend it on? Da, 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 da. I'm like, well, actually, everything's taken care of already. So this is going to be really nice to one, have like just some backup money. And two, like there are some pretty expensive shoes I want to get myself. They're like, I mean, $200. I don't know if that's considered expensive to you or not. It's not, they're not heels. They're they're for feeling good in my feet and body. And so I'm gonna get some of those. That's it. And it just feels so chill. And I'm like, well, sure. Why wouldn't I receive this? Like everything's already okay. This just adds more okayness, just adds more ooey gooey yummy goodness. And that's just the life we're living right now. So that feels really nice. And this is what happens when I mean, this is what happened for my people who are Live in Your Vision, who is that 9-month container. Like at the 2-month mark, like where were you 2 months ago and where are you now? Where are you going to be in 2 months if you keep doing what you've been doing and living the life you've been living? Like it's not a long time. In 2 months. In 2 months, their internal world was showing up differently, which meant their external world was showing up differently. And kind of like dramatic from an external, like, wow, that's a big change. But like the internal shifting of it feels organic. And then you get there and you're like, well, obviously, this is the next step. Because now I'm creating from a new place. Like, I'm now creating from a place of like, I got me, I got me. And 2 months. It just takes 2 months. And for me, I switched. It sounds like this, but I switched what I was focused on. And I struggled a little bit mentally with that. I was like, do I want to switch? And I'm like, well, the truth is, this place where I am the stagnant survivor is affecting these other places. It's affecting my manifestation in these other places. These other places are kind of just in motion right now. They have their own momentum, which if you remember from the beginning, like for me to not have to continuously tend to the same things over and over, that's happening. Love it. So now this one place, I'm like, if I can get this house in better condition, it is going to affect every other fucking house. So it seems like I switched, but I didn't really. I didn't really. And this one matters a fucking lot. And I have struggled with it and against it for a very long time. So, more on that tomorrow. I'll share the details about where I am with all of that. But find your places of contraction through tracking thoughts, emotions, sensations, behaviors, just for a few fucking days in one area of your life. Just one. That's it. Easy. Then, when you notice those places of contraction, start signaling safety there so that new energy can fucking open. That's where we are. It's not complicated. It won't ever get complicated if you do it one step at a time, I promise you. And then you're going to find that you have been taking care of yourself. Even if you just do those two things, you don't even necessarily have to go through everything I've done in the journal, but if you start tracking your experience and then opening your energy around your places of contraction, you are now taking care of yourself in a fundamental way. And now you and your whole life get to be different. So keep following. Again, details tomorrow on how things are going. Talk to you soon.